Before watching, we would like to remind our viewers that any and all views, opinions, interpretations, and retellings expressed or discussed in the following podcast are those of the individual guests and do not necessarily publicly, privately, or legally reflect the views of the Woke on Wednesday podcast, its hosts, Eco Wub, and any other related or recorded entities or networks.
Alright, my dudes. What's up, Granola Gang? We are woke on a Wednesday again. We are on the beach in Florida. It's spring break season, and it's absolutely beautiful outside. Okay, so we are going to introduce ourselves really quick to start off the episode. So you are?
Hi, I'm Tabitha, and I work in the healthcare field, and today I'm on the podcast to talk about plant medicine and positive news.
Woo! Thank you. Yeah. I'm Polly, back at it again, and I am a herbalist, a kava tender, and I have a degree in sustainability and justice. So generally my passion is healing and creating community around that and increasing awareness and basically just trying to strengthen the community here and help us get healthy and get stronger together.
Woo! Hi, my name's Danie Kate. I have a degree in social and behavioral sciences. I've previously been a kava/K8 tender, and I'm really interested in ethnobotanical healing and the fact that I am able to drink alcohol on camera while we're not able to talk about some of the other things. So I'm really interested to see how this goes.
Woo! What up? My name's Nick. I have a degree in fine arts, and I'm about to have a bachelor's in IT. I'm sort of jack of all trades. I just like culture, the world experience, stuff like that. I like getting into figuring out the truth, helping people, just kind of my vibe. I also make art and music, and I'm just kind of here to, spread the word and get people active about what's going on out there in the world.
Now it's time for Nick to talk tree on the substance review.
So today we're going to talk about plant medicine.
As
you can see, everybody here tried something different today. So Nick is trying THCA. Danie is drinking some White Claws, White Claw Surges, so they're 8%. So we're gonna get like a less sober perspective as well. And then I tried some Kana, and I'm drinking K8 botanical tea. So you can look that up. I can't say exactly what it is because
of the alcohol industry demonizing it.
Because the alcohol industry is demonizing it, even though it's just a plant medicine. But yeah, K8 botanical tea. And all the stuff we're doing today is legal in the state of Florida recreationally. So all this stuff I purchased at the store. We're not doing anything illegal today. And Tabby here, she is trying some Silly Farms chocolates. So you can look those up too, and you'll see they're a little bit trippy. So, let me see if I had some. Actually, what we're going to talk about today is comparing positive, negative, and intended effects between the substances that we're trying today. And we're all going to talk about kind of how we're feeling and yeah, I guess how we're feeling today. So Nick, do you want to start?
Yeah, I can start it. I don't really know how to pronounce this. I'm using, THCA or THC.
Maybe on that side.
And I've used that for a long time. it doesn't really affect me in the way that like a lot of people are affected. Like a lot of people get music playing. They get like tired or sleepy or like dismotivated or like maybe they can't like they get really anxious too. Like that happens for people a lot. For me, it kind of does the opposite. It like removes all of those things that I would normally feel just like walking around. I do have PTSD, so like that's probably why it's such a good tool for me. But yeah, I'd say I feel very relaxed. There's a little pressure like in my head that's like just behind my eyes, but a lot of people that smoke know that feeling. I definitely say it makes me a more productive person, like all around, and helps with stuff like pain too. If I worked out too much or fucking hurt myself or something. But yeah, I mean, I love weed.
Can you talk about what THCA is?
So THCA specifically is so it grows on the plant already, but when it's classified as A, that's when it's like active, and that usually only happens through like inducting heat. But they're able to like edit the gene of the plant before it grows, or like in the seed when they make new seeds, and yeah, the hemp plant, and it changes it from being THC-01, which is like what's on regular stuff, is on it changes to THCA, which is the active form of it. So it's, in my opinion, it's a lot better than like some of those 3-letter like stuff you can get, like THX, TH, a lot of that stuff is like man-made, like chemicals. But THCA is like from the plant, and all that's happened is they've just sort of skipped a step in its growing process, and now instead of having to burn it for it to work, it's just there. So it still works when you burn it, but that's kind of why THCA has been able to be like put in stores in some states and like sold normally. Is it's pretty much the exact same thing on like a chemical level. But yeah, that's.
What are some of the negative possible side effects of THCA or THC?
People definitely get like anxiety. I'd say that's like the most common one. Like, I'll ask people I meet, like, oh, hey, do you, partake? And the most common answer I get is I used to, but I stopped because I started having really bad panic attacks. Yeah.
Well.
And I'd say most people hit that wall somewhere in the ballpark of like 16 to like 24, 25, like somewhere in there. That's usually when weed starts to make you really anxious, and people generally stop. For me, that never really happened. And the whole like tolerance thing isn't really like, I don't know. I've never been less affected or like more affected. Sure, some stuff is stronger than others, like percentage wise, but I've never like significantly not been able to experience what I intended to. And I think another side effect is some people just get generally lazy. They get really content with how they feel in that moment, and they just want to be right there. And so they don't get a lot done, in like their day-to-day life or like maybe at school or work or something. I think also some people that are like daily users, you kind of like find themselves in some form of a psychosis. What it relates to in your life, that's kind of, case by case, but sometimes you might not see things as clearly or feel things as clearly when you're doing that. So definitely use it in moderation, It's not for everyone. Don't think it is. Like if you're one of those guys that wants to make all your friends into a big stoner, don't do that. It's either for people or it's not, but it's definitely something that you can use to have fun or as a tool to, get things done or just feel more normal, throughout your day.
And you just said a little Dabarino earlier.
Yeah.
Can I say that?
Yeah, Dabarino. That's my friend, Dabarino.
So how do you
We'll throw his picture up.
How do you feel right now?
I feel pretty good. There's like a relaxedness, sort of a lightness. There's like somewhere in here and like behind the eyes, there's like a tingle, a sensation. And it's pretty nice. It feels the exact same thing as the regular degular. So if you're in a state where like they sell that stuff and you've been thinking like, hey, maybe it's as good as the real thing, go check it out, go try it. I encourage you though, if the product you're buying has like a QR code, so you can pull up the lab sheet online, that's really good to do. Because some companies will say it's THCA, but in reality, there's way more Delta 8 in that thing than there is THCA. Delta 8 is another compound that's found on the hemp plant. It's one that makes us feel sleepy and makes our muscles relax. The issue with Delta 8, though, is like years ago when Delta 8 first came out, like kind of right before COVID, you had like actual hemp plant that was producing an abundant amount of Delta 8, which can deliver a feeling. It's not as significant as one, but it's a feeling. And the issue that happened was they started manufacturing so much of it that the natural stuff wouldn't cut it. So most Delta 8 on the market, I would probably say 98% of it is synthetic, which means that it was like made in a lab by a guy to try to copy this thing that's in nature. And like most of the stuff that you see like in the store and you're like, how is it synthetic if it's a plant? Because the plant itself is just hemp. It never would give you any feeling, but they spray it with the chemical. And that's why I kind of, encourage people to stay away from like deltoid-based stuff like that and THCA if you're going to use any sort of alternative, weed.
Yeah, THC is the way to go.
How do you feel about HHC? And it's not Delta 8, but I know it's similar.
So it's another man-made compound, HHC, HXC, anything with an H in the beginning, anything that ends in something besides C, anything with more than one number is a man-made compound. And I've tried it. The only one I ever liked out of all those man-made ones was HXC, but it is a dirty, nasty version of what marijuana makes you feel. Like it's not the cleanest, best high, I think. And I think it like has a lot more side effects to it, which is the whole thing, like game you're playing when you try like man-made compounds. That's why I think THCA is like the way to go, because it's natural. And most of the stuff on the market isn't synthetic, and you can check the lab sheets on these products to find out if it is.
Thank you for that spiel.
Yeah,
THCA.
spiel on weed. Shout out Willie Nelson, man.
Also, before I forget,
Now it's time for the Woke on a Wednesday Tortilla Challenge.
for today's educational bit, we're going to be playing a guessing game, but it's the tortilla challenge. So if y'all don't know what the tortilla challenge is, these two have tortillas and mouths full of water, and I'm going to ask them some questions that are health related, and we're going to go down each chakra. So if they get the answer wrong, then they get slapped by a tortilla. You guys ready? Okay, cool. So we're going to nod for yes, shake your head for no, and I'll let you know if you guys get them right or wrong. All right, question number 1 for the root chakra. Is your skin your largest organ? Correct. All right. For your sacral chakra, is it okay for women to skip peeing after sex? All right, you guys know your stuff. For your solar plexus chakra, do antibiotics kill essential good bacteria in the gut? Damn, you guys know way too much. I'm gonna have to come up with some more questions. Can vaping alleviate anxiety? Heart chakra. Wrong. Slapper.
Oh my god.
That was really good.
Oh, she's got it coming now.
No,
oh my god.
From that one.
Damn, blew the tortilla apart.
Did you use your hand?
So sorry.
That's so funny.
That was crazy. I'm so dead. So yeah, you're kind
Gotta
of
get some water.
use a tortilla, but I guess that was good content. So
Yeah,
that
there
works.
you go.
Thank you for that. Oh my god.
I'm so sorry. Did it hurt? My bad.
I knew someone was gonna fuck up at least a little
Because
bit.
I grabbed it like this. So.
Oh, and then it like fell out of your.
I mean,
It's okay, whatever. Okay. So now this one's for your throat chakra. Is sweating essential for purging toxins and staying healthy? Nice. And for your third eye chakra, should you switch your screens to warm light as soon as the sun sets? All right. And then for your seventh chakra, your crown chakra, is long-term dopamine essential for mood regulation? Wrong. How do you still have water in your mouth? That's crazy with your teeth and everything. All right, should we do more?
Yeah.
Do you have any questions?
Let me try to think of a good one. Does it have to be like wellness related or just anything?
Yeah, we're going for wellness related.
Okay.
Ask something about kratom.
Like a yes or no one,
It
or
has to be yes or no because they
Okay.
have water in their mouths.
Fuck, dude. Is agave a potentiator for kratom?
All right, who's right?
Wrong, she's right.
Oh, shit.
Gotta get the slow.
That was weak as fuck. On the neck.
The playful slap.
Do you have any other questions, Nick?
Uh,
Don't make me whip out AI because I will.
if a person drinks alcohol and does cocaine, what chemical are they making in their body when they mix?
That's not a yes or no question.
Oh, you're right. Damn. I can't fucking think of one, man. Yes or no? Can you overdose on vitamins? Correct.
You guys are too informed for this game, I think.
Trying to think.
I mean, I think you were a good one with me getting bitch slapped. I'm so sorry.
I got one.
Now.
Okay.
If a person consumes enough blue iodine, will their skin turn blue? You're wrong. She's right. Slapping time. Oh, that was a good one.
All right.
The slap review.
That was good.
Now it's time for Danie to review Ski the Brewskis.
So today I've been drinking alcohol in the form of White Claw Surges. I've actually recently stopped using the medicinal plant that Nick is on, and it's been an interesting process. We were kind of talking about this a little bit earlier, but I haven't noticed any increased productivity in certain things like that. I stopped using it because of anxiety. And I've noticed a decrease in my anxiety overall, but I have been leaning more on substances such as K8, alcohol, and things like that to just kind of replace the ability to relax and things like that, because I am a student still working on my bachelor's, and I've noticed that substances can help me pull back from the craziness that is a degree in legal studies and focus on myself and focus on relaxing. But I do think it's a bit crazy that I can easily show this on camera. I can drink it on camera. And have no issue because of the fact that, I'm over the age of 21, whereas some ethnobotanical beverages and things like that are really limited. And there's a considerable amount of benefit you can get from things such as K8 or even more innocuous substances. My headband went away. Even more innocuous substances such as hibiscus tea and things like that. And I'm really here just to spread awareness of the fact that there are multiple paths to get to the same route where you're able to explore your body, explore your mind in different altered states of consciousness.
Thank you, Danie. So, how do you feel right now? How many White Claws have you got?
So I am currently working on my 4th White Claw Surge, which is at 8%, and feeling a little tipsy. Usually I'm a bit more coherent than this, even when I've, smoked or done other substances. I am quite a bit more coherent than I am at this moment. And that's again, back to the point where I think it's kind of crazy that this is the most normalized substance, because I do not feel normal right now, to say the least. So that's a really, really good question.
And now, breaking positive news.
All right, for my positive news alert, I found an account on Instagram that you guys should definitely check out, Positive News UK. So the UK government put nature on the school curriculum. I think this is awesome, something that we should really be doing here, because we are nature, we're nothing without it. So this is something that everyone should be studying and aware about in school and, from childhood to adulthood. Another thing I found on their Instagram that I thought was great to share was that Megacorp's mapped out a path to nature-positive farming. So this means that the Roots to Region project launched, which sees some of the world's biggest companies back regenerative farming in a major new drive for nature positivity. So regenerative farming is essentially trying to heal the soil, going organic, and rejuvenating the land, which has been destroyed by industrial farming. So this is something that we need to do if we're going to even have soil to farm with in the first place. So really glad that companies are starting to see this and that people are becoming more aware of it. All right, we're live.
Hi guys, so today I wanted to share that Neptune's auras have been captured for the first time. And I think this is super cool. I think everybody has a beautiful aura, and that's on Positive Matter.
Yeah.
So my positive news is that the war in Ukraine is slowly but surely, most likely, coming to an end. Putin yesterday was denied the ability to essentially take control of Ukraine. And we are starting to pull our intelligence forces out of Kiev. Trump has voiced multiple times that we're beginning the process of starting the war, of ending the war. And if you look at defense contracts, a lot of them are being rejected right now, which means that there isn't a refillment on these contracts. And if the intention was for these governments to continue this war, they would need to continue to making, the missiles and the planes that these contracts buy and sell. And if they're not interested in that right now, that's probably a pretty good sign that in the next year or maybe 2 years, or even faster than that, that the war in Ukraine will be over and that Ukraine will have their independence.
Hell yeah.
So to keep things nice and positive, I would like to tell you about the return of manatees to the Florida area. Right now, there are officially more manatees in the state than there have ever been in the past, which means they're returning to our rivers, they're returning to the ocean, maintaining the seagrass. We're going to have clearer, more cool waters. And it's going to be a great summer. I hope you guys all take advantage, get out there on the kayaks, paddleboards, and just enjoy these beautiful creatures that we're really lucky to have.
Sorry, it's going to be an editing nightmare for you, Nick. But,
No, it's not going to be that bad.
So actually...
What up, me? Watching me? Editing me? Good luck, man.
Now it's time for Polly to give us the scoop on botanical tea.
I guess I will now get into what I have been taking today. So, I only took 2 Kana supplements. I don't know if you can see from here, but it's a little herbal supplement. You can take Kana in a lot of different forms. You can take it in liquid form, tincture, you can make it as a tea. So it's basically the closest you can get to, can I say MDMA?
Probably.
It's the closest I can get to MDMA herbally. So, granted, I didn't really take, I don't think, enough to get anywhere close to that today, but it does help a lot with social anxiety. So when I take it, I just feel like way more talkative and social and in a really good mood. And it can also, it dilates your pupils a little bit because it is a stimulant. And then I'm also drinking KA botanical tea. So I have super green, white and yellow strains all mixed together with some pink lemonade and blueberry. It's really good, actually. But that paired with the kana, and I feel just very like alert and present and no anxiety whatsoever, which normally like I actually have pretty intense social anxiety. And it kind of depends on the situation I'm in. Like if it's an environment I'm comfortable in, then I don't usually have it that bad. But if it's like a new environment, new people, stuff like that, or just really if anything sets me off, I can get really socially anxious. So that's why I really like this tea and kana in more like kind of party settings. Because it helps a lot with that and helps me be in a really good mood without being without like lowering, I guess, my consciousness, which is what I used to do by heavily drinking. So that's why I'm really grateful for these botanical teas, because it helped me to be able to be more social without getting, effed up to the point where I'm making bad decisions and getting myself in trouble and feeling like, doo-doo the next day. So that's why I really like this tea. It doesn't have really hangover effects. And the thing about KAT is that it does act on your opioid receptors in high enough doses. So that's where like the whole concern about kind of addiction comes in, and which is why you should consume it with moderation, just like anything else. You should be using it medicinally in the way that's actually going to help you with what it's intended to help you with, whether it be pain relief or mood boosting or energy. Use it for what it's meant for. If you're using it to get high, then you are entering into a more dangerous territory. But anything can be abused, alcohol, sugar, THC, like anything. So yeah, that's what I took today and a little bit about it. Tabitha, do you wanna
Really
talk?
quick, can I say something?
Yeah.
So I actually injured my shoulder about 2 years ago, and I was prescribed opioid pain medication for it. And again, being a student, I noticed that that was affecting my ability to concentrate and things like that. And that's how I discovered KAT. And, less than 1% of users do develop like habitual use and things like that. And I noticed it didn't come with some of the more negative side effects that like medication will bring, such as nausea and things like that.
What was that percentage you said of users?
1%, less than 1% of K users will become habitually dependent on the substance. It's really, yeah, it's honestly, it's very safe so long as you are not using it in excess and consistently throughout the day, depending on it.
That was a mic drop moment right there.
Oh, yeah.
I also think that K8 is very dependent on your history of use. If you've never used any kind of opioid, the effects of kratom are going to be really, really minimal compared to what other people might experience. And I would say of the people who do form an addiction or a habit to it, they most likely almost always had a previous addiction to something much harsher, some other harsh opioid. And me, myself, I drink K8, and I used to drink codeine, and that was opium. And for a long time, I didn't even know what I was drinking was an opioid.
You am tripping balls right now.
That is one actually, while we were talking about negative side effects, one thing that KAT kind of does to me, and a lot of people, is it can like kind of make you a little spazzy. Have you ever gotten that before?
Yes.
Yeah, I've gotten like a lot of mania from kratom before, for sure, and it definitely makes people like talk more, or you might even do stuff faster than you normally would.
Because it's a stimulant.
Yeah, it is definitely a stimulant.
But like, I love that it helps me focus, because I've had ADHD my whole life, so ADD, ADHD, whatever, like I don't even really care about the diagnosis, whatever, but I've always had a really hard time like spacing out, forgetting what I'm gonna say, not remembering things, and so this tea, it really helps me to stay present in the moment and not space out as much. So I'm actually like, being active in the conversation, like I'm listening actively. I'm remembering what people are saying. I'm remembering their names and their orders at work, and so it really helps me with that. Lion's mane too. I like to put lion's mane sometimes in my drinks, or and you guys were talking about coffee earlier. I like to put like 1 pump of K8 concentrate in my coffee. And what's funny is, you know how coffee is a diuretic? K8 actually can have the reverse effect of making you a little bit constipated. So that's why I like to put K8 concentrate in my coffee. You can't taste it, and it helps me not have the coffee shits, basically.
There are a wide variety of effects that can come from K8, and it's all strain dependent. There's white, red, and yellow, and green. There's some interesting effects it has on men, specifically for nighttime activities. That might interest some of you people out there. It's really good for grandma's hip, you know. You don't need to take Percocet. You can just use this stuff, and it's very effective. I think one thing people kind of underestimate is how significant this tea is able to affect you. You know, most people wouldn't think that something like that could give you such a strong feeling, but it really does most of the time for people.
I was just using it for period cramps the other day. Helps just completely eliminate it. Feel nothing at all. Like, I have completely painless periods now. Not just because of K8, you know, like I've done a lot of cycle syncing and kept balancing my lifestyle to reduce stress as well. But it's the cherry on top, drinking the tea, just, you know, cruising past any cramps. Can also helps a lot with muscle pains. I have a back injury, so it was helping a lot with that. And yeah, did you get to go on your spiel? Okay. Do you want to talk about what you're doing today?
Yeah.
Now for the part of the show where Tabby tries trippy chocolate.
So today I'm doing Silly Farms chocolates, which is a legal mushroom blend. And I'd like to talk about, I like shrooms because it helps you become more open emotionally. Makes you step out of your comfort zone. And it's good every here and there to reevaluate how you're feeling, some things that you may suppress.
Absolutely.
Really quick on the subject of K8, have you noticed that the red strain helps a little bit more with pain and things like that? That's definitely something I've noticed in my own personal use.
Traditionally, red is the strain that we recommend people try if they're experiencing pain. Personally, it doesn't sit very well with me for some reason because everyone has a different brain chemistry, so each strain could affect you a little bit differently than it does to most people. So for me, it makes me feel more icky than any of the other strains, so I actually prefer yellow, which is mostly white with some red, basically is how it feels. So it doesn't make you tired, which I really like. It still gives me that like focus and energy, but it also reduces pain. So that's probably my favorite strain is yellow.
Yeah, the white is definitely a pick-me-up if you prefer some of the more uppity substances. You might find yourself enjoying white quite a bit. But on the mushrooms, give me a description of how you're feeling right now. I feel uplifted. I feel energetic. I feel. I see the smile on your face, making you a bit happier. I feel happy and silly and free. Shout out to Silly Farm.
I'm feeling silly and free. Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay, so are you recording?
Yes.
Okay. I know this looks really bad, but this is actually caffeine powder. It's called Bump. Low-key energy. This is legally obtained from an herb shop. So it has a little bit of Kana in it and 100 milligrams of caffeine in like a bump, and a little bit of lidocaine to like make your nose like a little bit numb.
Analgesic qualities.
Analgesic qualities. Yeah. So basically, this is.
Oh, your mic thing just like.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, here, I got you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, a reminder, this is legal, but I just wanted to kind of share this with you guys because it's a great, holy shit, that's a lot. It's a great substitute for what real thing, these bumps, which is caffeine and kana. So yeah, do you want some? And it's a good pick-me-up, honestly, because I was just feeling really tired from having a drink, and so that I'm already like talkative again, and it's helping. Literally, works within seconds, and it's so funny that this is perfectly legal, because it's just kana and caffeine. But it looks bad. It looks bad.
It does look bad.
Because of the connotations, but it is legal. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of share this with you guys. It's a really nice natural alternative.
I'm gonna try it.
Does anyone, I mean, I guess that's kind of all I had, but we could talk about, like, we could each give a story. So now we're going to go around and share our best substance experience and our worst substance experience.
And best, right?
Worst and best substance experience?
So my worst substance experience I ever saw, splash yourself,
Spilling stuff on myself.
Was I had a friend. He was a rapper. I used to work in the rap industry as a producer and various other things. His name was, we'll call him Larry for the sake of the story. And Larry wanted to try DMT for the first time. And we were sitting in the studio, which had like this sort of like cloud stuff like glued to the ceiling with like LED lights behind it. And after he hit the bong or the water pipe, he starts looking up at the sky, or well, you know, the fake clouds, and his eyes get real wide. And he's like, "Holy shit, dude! Look, it's Odin!" And we're like, "Odin?" And we're like, "Thor's dad?" And he's like, "Yeah, he's here. He's so it's so nice." And he's just freaking out. And so we closed the door because we're laughing our ass off. We're like, "Fucking thinks he's seeing Odin," and you know, okay, I'll cut that part. I will just like cut the word. But Larry thought he was seeing Odin, so we walk out of the room, and we should have locked him in it, because right after that, about 5 minutes later, he runs out, full sprints into the garage and locks the door behind him, and he's butt naked. So we're worried as fuck, and we go to open the garage door, and by the time we get it open, there's Larry, high out of his mind, butt naked, covered in paint. Mm-hmm. And he had gotten into some house paint that we had in the garage, and after that, he decided to run around the neighborhood. Oh, and he was screaming, "Help me, there's all these zombies trying to kill me." And he ran to the next door neighbor's house, knocked on his door. When the guy answered, he beat the shit out of him. And the guy that he beat the shit out of, not only did he not press charges or call the cops, he ended up calling Larry back and offering him a job. And now he works for the guy, and he like builds houses full time. So it was just like, DMT took him through this crazy journey, and now because of that, he has like a whole career, which is crazy.
Good for Larry.
Good for Larry.
And then my best experience is one time my foster brother paid for me to go visit a shaman, and I ate a bunch of mushrooms that were like a specific strain, and I had to lay down. They were like playing music. There was like a ritual going on. There was chanting, and then out of nowhere, I hear like this booming voice, almost like there's two voices speaking at once. And it's like, "Sit up, look around." And when I did, I saw myself, like, I looked back like this, and there I was, like, laid out on the couch. And there was a lot of stuff that happened after that kind of showed me that I really, truly was seeing and hearing and experiencing outside of my body. And just that, the significance of that is probably the most positive or like cool thing I've ever experienced. And the craziest thing too is the come down from that shroom trip felt like nothing. It felt like I just returned to the state of being that I was in before I took the substance, which is you almost never get that.
I love when you tell that story. It's a good one.
It is a good one.
So, I mean, before I get into my stories, I just want to say I literally switched over to alcohol, right? And I've had one White Claw, and I already feel like my words are like, I'm struggling not to slur them a little bit, and I'm like, feel more tired and heavy and less like alert and motivated than I did before.
A bit aloof.
It's crazy. Like, literally one drink is all it took to, like, start taking me out. Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. I mean, like, I felt... Rude. Alright, guy.
Mini excavator out here.
That's how the sand is so soft.
Oh, yeah.
But,
pushes all around.
I mean, I'm still, like, I'm having a good time. I'm chill, but it definitely, like, lowered my energy a lot. Probably because I haven't drank in 2 months, so my body's like, what is this?
pretty strongly.
But anyway, so I don't even know where to start. I've done a lot of stuff. Probably I'll just pick one of my favorites. So I'm gonna talk about a DMT experience as well, because I just think those tend to be like really powerful. So this was not like necessarily a good experience at the time, but it was one of my most like powerful, life-altering, I think, moments, and I'm glad that it happened, so I'm gonna talk about it. Basically, I took enough to blast off. I accidentally took too much, and so I actually blacked out a lot of it at first, but then memories started coming back later. But essentially, I experienced myself die, and I literally thought that like I was going to the hospital and like saying goodbye to everybody, but I felt super at peace. Like, I just felt like I didn't need anything anymore, and so that's why I was like okay with leaving, because I just had no like need for any type of like food, water, consciousness, rest, nothing. I needed nothing, and so I just like felt myself float away.
Were you in like a black void?
No, it was actually, so things started becoming more and more colorful, and like just I felt like I was like going into an aura space, and then from there suddenly I like shot up into this geometric type of world where I was like golden like shapes flowing into myself is the only way I know how to describe it. It doesn't really make sense, but I felt like I was like aware of everything. Like, I felt like I was above reality, if that makes sense. Like, I kind of became one and merged with God or something. And
that's what happened to me on the
shrooms. And that part was really awesome and beautiful, and I just felt, you know, like complete peace, like no really thoughts, but just like being. And then I went from that to suddenly I was in like complete darkness, and it felt like kind of the opposite of where I just was, which was all light. And being in all darkness, like I lost all sense of time, and it felt like I was there infinitely. So I started to freak out a little bit, and I was like, when is this gonna end? Am I gonna be in darkness forever? And then suddenly I like just thought in my head, like in that moment, this is all in my head, and I snapped back to reality like the second I thought that. And it was just crazy, because going into that trip, all I wanted to do was like meet God, and then ended up like becoming a part of God instead, and kind of realizing that there's no need to fear death anymore, which was honestly my greatest fear at that point in my life. So it really set me free, that experience. Even though it was like crazy and I felt like I was never going to come out of it and I thought I died, it was still really positive, the effects that it had on my life. And yeah, so that was probably my best one, most positive effect on my life. And then most negative is kind of hard to pick, because I used to be, you know, quite the party animal, and so I had a lot of like really negative blackout experiences. But probably, I don't know, probably the worst one of all was I had a bad acid trip, which was the only bad acid trip I ever had, because I never had bad ones before that, but I guess it was just like wrong place, wrong time type of thing, and I got, you know, bad product from somebody that I shouldn't have trusted, and I don't know what it was, if it was really even like LSD or not.
Did it have a taste? Do you remember?
No, it was just like, they looked weird. They looked like tabs I had never taken before. They were like really big, like
gel
pieces of paper that didn't have any like, they didn't feel quality. Like, it just felt like a piece of paper.
They probably laid. It was probably.
You can't hear it.
It was probably like over dipped or over soaked, or like, you know, like usually you take the blotter paper and you drop a, you know, a measurable amount, and one squeeze of the thing is like a certain drop, and there's ways of doing it, and even past that now with machines. But like when people just take like a blotter paper and they just like dip it in like acid, that's insane.
I
Like
don't-
you have no idea how much the paper is soaking up in what spots, or you know, it's all completely random.
I don't think that it was even like
Made
real
correctly.
LSD,
Yeah.
to be honest, because I didn't even have that crazy of visuals. Like I was barely tripping at all visually, but I went to a really bad place mentally, and
Could have been L-bomb.
I was just
or
not having a
N-bomb.
good time, and everything felt like too real, and I like lost my filter entirely of my ability to like not say what I was feeling and thinking, everything that I was thinking. Like I couldn't control myself, so I
Oh,
lost
just, like-
all self-control. I was like word vomiting,
Yeah.
things I shouldn't say, like thoughts that should be private, and then I was also drinking on top of it, which is bad. I was really drunk, so I ended up like getting in a fight with my boyfriend at the time, and it like ruined our whole vacation. So yeah, I just it would have been cool if I didn't ruin our vacation by having that experience, but I guess it's not my fault that the person who gave it to me was having a bad product. So yeah, it was just an unfortunate situation. It made me like scared to ever take it again, but
Maybe
I think
the
I
universe
would.
intended that.
I think I would do it again in the right scenario, but at least
from
it
the
made
right
me
person.
fall out of love with acid, which I think was maybe a good thing in the end, because I didn't need to be taking it as frequently as I was.
Yeah, you don't want to like take it to the point where your brain gets too much electricity in it, and then you can't function in the way that you used to be able to. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you want to share your worst and best experiences?
Yeah, so before I start, I would like to share like just a really quick story about when I went to Bonnaroo in Tennessee, and people around me were vaporizing DMT, and that is how I did DMT for the first time. All of a sudden I could smell tires all around me, and then I was in a different planet. So just know, if you are doing DMT, the people around you are also doing DMT, which I don't think these people knew. So I think that's a really important thing to share, is those clouds are very strong, very powerful, and what you don't inhale is going into somebody else's system. But my best story involving substances isn't myself. It's actually how I met one of my closest friends, and we were just sitting there, and kind of same way we are now. I was drinking a little bit of alcohol, and she was sitting there enjoying LSD, and we had like a really solid conversation about life and our states of being and different situations going on in our lives, and we were able to connect on a deeper level than we may have been like the first time meeting each other sober, which was a really, really cool experience. And we were able to really explore our thoughts and explore our minds without that nervousness and anxiousness that you can sometimes experience if you are sober and meeting somebody for the first time. But I have also experienced alcohol poisoning. So I would say that is my worst experience, is kind of waking up in the hospital and having this nurse ask me like, well, how did you end up here? And going, well, I drank, obviously, and like going back and forth and screaming with this person who I had never met before. So I think that just kind of goes to show that there is this happy medium with everything we've talked about today, that you need to be trying to reach at every time and not overdoing it, but also not excluding yourself from it, and trying to explore these different parts of your mind, your body, and your soul without overextending yourself. And I think that's really all I have to share.
Yeah, I like that you touched on that, the topic of moderation, because I think it's really important to ask yourself before you're consuming a substance your intention for it, because your intention can really determine how your trip or your experience goes. So if you're intending to get messed up, then you're gonna get messed up, but maybe not in the way that you wanted to.
You will get messed up.
So, and if you go into something with like a positive intention, like, I want to enhance this experience visually, or I want to grow, I want to learn something, I want to meet somebody, I want to talk to God, whatever it may be, I think it's good to go into something with an intention. Even when it comes to something as simple as like some of the teas we've been drinking, like my intention is to improve my energy right now, or to heal. If you go into something with the intention of getting effed up, then that is kind of what starts creating the cycle of addiction, avoiding your emotions, avoiding your issues. and just masking like your true self with a persona that comes about from the substance, and that's not the real you. And the real you is valuable. And
There are so many people that need to hear that.
yeah, and you might be sleeping on the real you by masking some tough emotions, which I totally understand, because that's the reason why I was such a heavy drinker for so long. You know, I pretty much was an alcoholic, honestly, like starting in college all the way through, like, um, when I started working as a kava tender, like like 6 months ago, I started working as a kava tender. And like a couple months before that is when I decided to stop drinking as heavily as I was. So really, I'm pretty fresh in the sober community. But I'm so happy now, and I realized finally that like I was just masking who I really am through drinking and putting on like a fake persona because I didn't feel like I was enough. And I think that a lot of people do that with drinking especially, but even with other drugs too. Just feeling like the moment isn't enough, or like you're not enough, so you need to like amp it up times 1,000. Which is totally like fine, enhancing it, using things as they're intended to be used. But if there's like something beyond that you're using it for, like just to get effed up, or to be someone else, then got some stuff to work through. That's okay, we all do.
And don't worry about background noise, because that isolation thing CapCut has is like perfect.
That's crazy. Google has removed Pride Month, Black Month, Black History Month.
You didn't hear about that?
No, I don't.
Yeah, Trump banned all of those things.
Why? My school is already in trouble.
So he didn't remove Black History Month, but he's changing like the way that it affects schools and government workers.
So first we're going to come up with some awareness alerts for you guys to keep you woke on this fine Wednesday. It's actually not Wednesday, but for you it is. So
It's always Wednesday.
It's always Wednesday. Nick, do you have one?
So my awareness alert is that coming up on the 4th of next month, Trump is planning to remove all of the government agencies, like the Department of Healthcare and Education, all that stuff, FBI, CIA, what have you. But the key point is, in the process of doing this, he has circumnavigated the other branches of government and the Senate, which is usually the avenue that a president would have to go down to enact things like tariffs or remove these agencies. So some people are worried that he's sort of positioning himself into an imperialistic presidency. And, if he's able to circumnavigate the Supreme Court to, install things like tariffs, he could, potentially change other laws that could extend his presidency or allow him to even run for another term. And there's not going to be any agencies to check or balance these changes because they won't exist anymore. And it's a little bleak, but, if people are more aware about it and, we don't buy certain things that have tariffs placed on it, or if we just, kind of push back really hard against all this stuff, things like, really essential stuff like the Department of Education and healthcare, I don't think those are going to get removed. There's just too much money around it all. But yeah, the more people are aware about this, and the more people go out to vote for like state law changes or like, stuff in your city, and like all that stuff adds up. It's all important. So just get active out there.
Definitely gonna come up with a list of solutions at the end as well, just to keep you guys motivated and positive throughout all these difficult news alerts. So, Danie, you have something for us?
Yeah, so on that note, make sure you're getting out and you're running for local office if you think you can. But I'd like to talk about the chemical substance 2C and how 2C is not a thing anymore. If you're going out and you're trying to elevate your mindset and you're using this substance, just be aware that after DEA crackdowns, 2C does not contain the chemical compound 2C anymore. You're opening yourself up to access to really, really powerful substances that are going to make you more low vibrational. And just be aware of what you're putting into your body. And that's what we're here to talk about, how to alter your mindset without altering your body vibrations and taking yourself down to a lower level. So just make sure you're protecting yourself and testing everything and knowing what you're doing. That's all I say.
Thank you. Did you end up finding something? No? You didn't want to talk about how Trump got rid of Black History Month?
No, I don't want to speak on politics. I do not speak politics.
Instead of there being any sort of like holiday or celebration of it in the school or workplace, that won't be it. But it will still be referred to as Black History Month.
Okay,
But
so he's just
there
trying to
won't be
make it
any
not as
state
important.
acknowledgement of that. Yeah, he's pretty much trying to make it less important. And he's doing that across the board with pretty much everything. Not just Black History Month, but things like like Independence Day or President's Day. These things, they're people like Elon Musk are they're trying to say that these things are like useless or a waste of time and money and finances. Oh, there's actually something I just remembered. There was some leaked audio from JD Vance trash talking Elon, and JD Vance was actually really mad that Elon has been sort of this pivotal character in the cabinet and he was like angrily saying like he's not even a politician, like he's not even an elected member. I'm an elected member and I get less airtime than this guy. I'm done with it. I want him out of here. You know what I mean? And that's what I thought was going on from the very beginning, is that JD Vance and all these guys around Elon probably don't like him that much, and Elon probably kind of tricked his way into this position.
Yeah, sounds about right. I forgot, I actually have an awareness here too. So I found this. I follow a really dope account on Instagram called Change without the A, so I'll give him a shout out, throw that up. But I saw that they posted about ICE abducting students, and this isn't just students who are like here illegally or going through like loopholes to get here, and these are not criminals. It's literally this student, Rumesa Ozturk. I'm really sorry if I mispronounced that. She was a journalist at Tufts University, Somerville, Massachusetts, and she had a valid visa, but was detained by ICE on the streets and abducted. And as of me reading this article, they still were not able to even get in contact with her with a lawyer. I don't know if anything's changed since then. That was like a couple of days ago I saw this. But she basically was involved with the School of Journalism, trying to increase awareness about genocide in Palestine, and some Israeli corporations' connection with that, and our relation to those Israeli corporations. So basically, the government doesn't like that she's talking about this stuff, and they're abducting her just because of that, not because she's here illegally. So ICE is basically abusing their power to do corrupt things for the government. They're not just doing what ICE is supposed to do. Honestly, we should be abolishing ICE.
They're using a bylaw from the 1800s that has to do with removing foreign military people, and they're using that to do that. I actually read something on that the other day. I'll throw it up here because I don't remember exactly what it was talking about, but it was saying that there is a law that exists from the 1800s that has to do with like removing foreign soldiers, and so by saying that these people are involved with the cartel, because that's the big thing that Trump is always pushing, is that he's kicking out the cartel, it gives them an excuse to throw you out of the country, essentially, because there is no like legal definition of what makes you in the cartel. Like if they mark you down as that, that's what you are legally from that point on, and that they're using that as an excuse to get whistleblowers out of here, get families they don't like out of here. Yeah, it's horrible. So yeah, abolish ICE.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so the name of that act is the Alien Enemies Act, and like Nick said, that law comes from the 1800s. They're invoking that. They're invoking the Comstock Act, another
that's the other one.
highly antiquated law, and it's really important to talk about these things in a neutral environment, the way that we're doing, just to raise awareness and make sure you know what's going on, because there's this famous quote, they came for me in the night, and they'll come for you in the morning. So just be aware of everything that's going on and try to stay positive, because there's nothing you can do about this by sitting and moping, but just get active. Like I said, get involved in your local scene and, show up to town hall meetings and express your interest in this and show that, like, we care, this is part of reaching that high vibrational state. You can't live in a state of fear. And that's really what they're trying to do right now, is keep people in a state of fear. And it's not okay. It's really...
Yeah, thank you for that. That was kind of along the lines of some of the solutions that I came up with to suggest to you guys. I wrote down, be aware of local protests, and I'll actually link, if you live in Tampa, we live in the general Tampa area, so if you also do, I'm going to link an account for you to follow that you can be aware of local protests. But if you don't live in this area, then you should check out some local groups in your area, get involved, join activism groups, stand up for your friends, family, and your community. I don't know if I can say this on camera, but stay strapped if it's legal to do so.
Yeah, keep that click on you in mind.
If it's legal to do so, I'm not suggesting we do anything against the law. And if we can somehow get something passed to put more limits on ICE or even abolish it, we should definitely reform that group and make it into something else that isn't being abused by our corrupt government right now.
And isn't it suspicious that he's going around abolishing, the Department of Education? And, it's like, yeah, thanks for trying to abolish the FBI, but you've never once brought up abolishing ICE or any of these other, military-esque.
It's spring break.
Spring
break.
But yeah, he's not trying to get rid of any of these other agencies that are there and ready to be used by him as a tool. So, I think that's kind of what's going on, is, he's, essentially showing up to, the Department of Justice or Education or wherever, and he's like, hey, are you guys going to play ball and do exactly what I want? And they're like, no, we're not criminals. And he's like, okay, so I'm going to abolish this thing, And anything that's getting left around, like ICE, those are the people that are playing ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for your awareness alerts.
Bye-bye.
On to the next.
Thanks for watching. Walk on a Wednesday.
1, 2, 3, let's go. Told me I'm just dreaming, but I think I'm really not. They told me there's no demons, but they're walking through the lot. They told me don't believe them, but I know that that's a plot. If I told you what I know that you'll be really shocked. It's only Monday, I'm waiting for Wednesday. I know that on Wednesday, I'm getting all of the scoop. I need it one day, walk on a Wednesday. I'll see you on Wednesday, getting the truth. Walk on a Wednesday.
Hey, breaking news. You have to like and subscribe, or we will microwave the dog, and honestly, I don't want to do that.
Thanks for watching. We worked hard on this, so please help make us famous. We will give you a big kiss, I swear.